Welcome to the Daily Swole. Welcome everyone to episode 23 of the Daily Mother Swole. And today is the Sunday Rod. Today is the rage of the day. Today we are talking about CrossFit. Now, some of you were with me on Periscope last night when this topic point came around. So let me preface this with a couple things. And this is like a disclaimer for this whole CrossFit episode, which could be a multi-part series. I want to be positive first. And I want to kind of make a couple points and make a couple things clear because as you know, if you follow me, you know that I am very reasonable. I am open-minded. I understand that everyone is different. Everyone has their own opinions. Everyone's opinion has value and everyone is different. Whereas one person could see tons of results, a similar person, similar shape, similar structure might see absolutely no results, get injured. Even diet-wise, nutrition-wise, everyone is different. Everyone is different. So this is, just a part of that. This is just an aspect. And yeah, on Busker, definitely I got a good point on that too. This episode is going to be very interactive. I got a little bit, just a little bit of whiskey in my coffee because I had to settle down a little bit. I had to take this down a notch. Okay. I'm amped. It's going to be an amped day. This is a great weekend. It's a long weekend. I am amped. On my mind, I am so positive. This could be an epic episode. I'm okay with this running long. Just stay with me, and run with the big cat. Okay, this is going to be a lot more freestyle. I have some notes in mind, but this is going to be pretty much a breakdown of this whole workout style. And I think a lot of you can either relate because you've done it or you do it. And let me preface it with a couple things. Number one, you can see results with CrossFit, okay? You can see results with CrossFit. Now, of course, the word results varies a lot. Depends on what you mean by results. Depends on, what you are looking to get. Results is a very loose term. It depends on what you want. But if you have certain results or certain goals in mind, can they be achieved with CrossFit? Sure, why not? It's exercise, okay? It's exercise, and we're going to get more into this. Trust me. I appreciate what CrossFit has done for fitness, and I'll explain. It's getting people off their asses. It's getting people into a gym that maybe otherwise would not have been into a gym. Even though, and we'll get into this, the injury rates are very high with CrossFit. Would you rather have an injury or would you rather have heart disease and die from diabetes? So this is, you're getting people up and moving. The intentions are there, okay? The equipment and gear industry in terms for like powerlifting or for equipment or for usage has been benefited greatly by CrossFit. The popularity of fitness, kind of like thing like rising tides raise all ships. You know what I'm saying? So the popularity of fitness, this doesn't hurt anyone. There's more gyms. There's more, places to get. There's more supplements if you're into that. There are more things in fitness. Okay. There's a reason why Elon Musk gave out his patents for Tesla, because if people start making more electric cars and really blow up that type of technology, it's only going to help his business, it's only going to help the future, it's only going to help that division of the automotive industry. If you're not aware of that, most companies keep their things very private. It's a different way of thinking about things, and it's an interesting concept. Okay, so if you are in a field and it's small, you kind of want competition. You want other people. You want things to get more popular because it'll raise everything. So it has been, in general, good for fitness. That being said, let's get into a little bit about CrossFit. Now, I have the website over here. If you're watching me live, you might be able to see, a nip slip of the CrossFit website. So a lot of what I'm going to go over today is not going to be necessarily my opinion, not just talking points about, oh, this is better than this. I'm literally going to go off of like logic. I'm going to go off of exercise science, and I'm just going to go through things that that they're describing their product. If you go to my website, Swolenormous.com, for example, you'll have links to my social media. You'll have links to, for example, pictures. Hey, this is about me. This is what I do. This is who I am. It's information about my product. So it's how I am showing you my product. Is it the best? No, there's always room for improvement, but you're describing your product and how you see it. This is your product. This is what you're promoting. This is what you're selling to the public. Here, do this because this is what it does. All right. And the public is, that's the questionable part, is like who's listening to this information. So starting off, working out versus training. I've done this before. I've done working out versus training. I've talked about this in the Drive Mall Gainings on my YouTube channel at Swolenormous. I've talked about working out versus training. Working out or exercise. Working out or exercise. Exercise is just hard activity. I could go out to the golf course over there and drag bricks across it for 10 hours and I would be wiped out. That's exercise. That's a workout. That's just doing stuff. Is there a goal? Am I training for Olympic brick pulling? Possibly, but that's a workout. That's random. That might be an extreme case, but working out, WOD, CrossFit's WOD, workout of the day, in the definition. And I always pick up on vernacular and people say, oh, well, that's just a word, that's just a concept. I don't think a lot of people understand. How important words are. That you have words, language comes before emotion. You associate language before, language is at our core. Everything gets processed through language. So even if on a higher intellectual level, you are thinking, outside the box and you're trying to super consciously, think about a word in a different light. The word means that word, whatever you associate with that word. Love, hate, like. That's why certain things like subtleties, when you say like this, oh, I hate Chinese food, or oh, I hate golf, or oh, I hate CrossFit. That word hate, even though you don't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm so angry, maybe you don't really hate it, but that word associates and has all those connotations in your mind. It's mapping those processes because you understand the definition, the meaning of the word hate, or the meaning of the word love, or like, or desire, or passion. Okay, those words, language comes first. So when you read things, when you have marketing, when you have things that are being put out on display, language is so important. Language is so important. I cannot overstate how important language is, and using the wrong word. And for someone like myself, who's an expert, who has formal education in exercise science and those, certifications and all that and experience, words with exercise science are very important because a lot of times they're used improperly. And for someone like myself, I'll notice, and I'm like, that's just simply wrong. CrossFit has since updated their site, but I remember a couple years ago, they literally had incorrect exercise science in their About section on their page. It was just flat out not right. Their numbers were wrong. It was just incorrect. But no one else would know that. Few people would know it, and a lot of people that do have the intelligence or the knowledge behind it wouldn't be going to that website anyway. I was just poking around. I was curious. I was curious how they promoted their product. I was aware of their product. I was curious as to the promotion of it. Now, working out versus training, the workout of the day, those are very random. I don't care how you slice it. They're absolutely 100% completely random, and they're just like pulled out of a hat. You cannot convince me otherwise. We'll get into a couple of those if we have time. The sun might set before we get to that part. Specificity versus mastery. CrossFit's angle is forging elite fitness, being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Okay, being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Their idea behind doing everything and training everything, being prepared for everything, is very, very uncomfortable for me to discuss in terms of like an exercise, a fitness point of view, just because it's dangerous. The body is built on adaptation. Yeah, we'll get into some of those things in a moment. Busker and Periscope are live here in case you didn't know on YouTube. The body is an adaptive creature, but it adapts to certain things. There are no species, really, even human beings, we have to adjust, that live everywhere and just travel from one climate to the other and just completely adapt. Most species, really exist because they're adapted to their climate. Tropical species. Even human beings, if you live up north, for example, I grew up north in New England and I came down to Florida, it was very hot. It was I was at the beach in December and January because I was used to colder weather. So the temperature down here in December and January felt great and I was at the beach. Now, I would never be at the beach unless it was super hot in December or January because it's too cold for me relative to what I'm used to. So you adapt, but you adapt to what you're exposed to. Their approach and their concept is constantly varied. Constantly varied, you can vary too much. Any decent training program has a period of adaptation. And the purpose of this is because the body needs time to adapt, to create the defense mechanisms, whether it's larger muscles, whether it's more mitochondrial density, create those adaptations to be able to handle that consistent exercise over the course of that training period. Too much variation, it doesn't mean you can't adapt in a short period of time. It doesn't mean you can't adapt to a constantly varied program. But when you vary too much, you can't adapt. It's a basic fucking concept. You cannot adapt if you constantly vary all the time. You'll kind of be like, a little bit of everything. And that's why people get hurt because of these high speed, high risk, high intensity movements, as they call it. They're given randomly. You cannot get excellent at cleans if you kind of do them randomly. You cannot get excellent at doing pull-ups if you do them randomly. You cannot get excellent at doing rope climbs if you do them randomly. You cannot do excellent at running if you do it randomly. And the random approach is dangerous because of just the way, the lack of the program, the lack of the progression. Okay. Now, again, I'm not saying you can't see results. I'm not saying you automatically will get injured, but what's your goal? People work out. They want friends. I get it. You want friends. You need friends. We're in a disconnected society. I want a community. I want friends. You go to the bar to meet friends. You go to a club. You're in the Rotary Club, the Elks Club. You go and play freaking backgammon to make friends. You go play bridge. I don't know why that just got really old style, for example, but you go places to meet friends. You go places to meet friends. And people go to CrossFit to meet friends, and that's fine. I get it. I get the camaraderie. You go to meet people. You go to meet buddies. But that's the thing. You go there to meet your friends. You're going for entertainment. You're going for camaraderie. You're not going for a goal. I guess that's your goal. You need friends. You want friends? Go to CrossFit. Go to CrossFit and do random exercise, and then hope you don't get hurt. Specialty is not specializing. That's not specialty. Not specializing is not a specialty. Would you call a general practitioner a specialist, a general specialist? No. They send you somewhere. What CrossFit should do is take someone and be like, wow, you need help with Olympic lifting. Here, go to this expert. Don't go to someone who has a CrossFit Olympic weightlifting certification that they took in a day. Some of these movements are extremely high risk. They're called Olympic lifts because they were done by Olympians. So let's back up again. This was founded by a dude that obviously does not exercise, Greg Glassman. He does not work out. He doesn't look like he's ever worked out. He's just some dude that is claimed on the website to be the first person in history to define fitness in like a scalable and measurable way. I thought that was the Greeks in like 700 BC with the Olympics. I don't know. I don't know if he's the first person in history to quantify fitness, but nice try. That's a good one. He's the first person to define fitness like 10 years ago. Not too sure about that. just straight up. Just the ego behind some of this stuff is absolutely absurd. this random approach. Patterns lead to adaptation. Patterns lead to adaptation. That's no surprise. Patterns, patterns, patterns. Repetitive movement patterns lead to movement compensations. Bad. Progressive weight training leads to muscle growth. Good. Progressive overload for running long distances and sprints leads to maybe increased aerobic and anaerobic capacity. Good. Adaptations. Swim, run, push-ups, cleans, rope pulls. That's like eating spaghetti, chestnuts, strawberry jam, Sour Patch Kids, pickles, and like fucking Chex Mix all in the same bowl and trying not to throw up. That's exactly what it is. Think of it as like all these different foods. Like, what are you eating today? Oh, I don't know. Let's just put these things in the same bowl and blend it up. That's what you're doing. You would hurl and you get injured. You don't get results. You're not going to get your proper diet because you're just eating random stuff every day. Random shit. I can't wait to get into some of these questions. All right. Let's do a little bit of some looking through the website. Shall we get into it? Let's get into it. Let's see what time we got here. Let's go into... So first off, on their main page, I'm just talking about their advertising. On their main page, they have pictures. They have pictures from the community. One of these pictures on the main page is an elderly woman doing an improper squat with a forward lean. That's great. And a girl bleeding from the forehead. Bleeding from her fucking forehead. Because I haven't bled in the gym, does that mean that I'm not fit? Because I haven't lost vital fluids in my body? Does that mean does that mean I'm not forging elite fitness because I'm not losing blood? This isn't a fucking blood bank. This isn't the Red Cross. This is exercise. I'm trying to get in shape. Someone's bleeding from the forehead, and they put it not only on their main page, they put it right in the middle like a trophy. If you're an elite athlete, if you're a professional athlete, you get hurt. If you're an Olympian, you get hurt. You see them. You see them pulling their hamstrings. These are Olympic athletes that train nonstop their entire lives for that one moment every 4 years. Every 4 years to get the chance to compete on a main stage, and they get hurt in that event. They have coaches, they have funding from an entire country behind them. An entire country, the best coaches in the country, all the money, all the support behind a nation, all eyes on them in the entire world are watching these Olympic athletes, and they get where they should be at their absolute peak, at the peak of their competition, at the peak in the finals in the last race. They pull a hamstring. They pull a quad. They pull something. They get injured. Olympic athletes, people that are far higher trained than Wayne the accountant that's just, showing up to a CrossFit WOD in a garage in the back alley somewhere by the highway. Not to mention, you shouldn't be running on pavement. You shouldn't be running on pavement. That's not natural. You want to do functional? Then stop running on a freaking rock hard surface. In shoes with an elevated heel. I've seen people running in platform shoes, in weightlifting shoes with a rock solid heel because they're doing cleans for 30 reps for God knows why, and then they're running 800 meters. And they keep the same shoes on. They're running in weightlifting shoes. If you don't know what weightlifting shoes are, they have a platform heel and they don't bend. So there's a disconnect between CrossFit and even the people that teach the damn thing because it's like a weekend certification. I went over about personal training. I went over the pitfalls of personal training. You think CrossFit's any different? I think CrossFit's any different than personal training. It is personal training. It's group training. The same certification rules apply, the same open-ended gray area, who knows what the hell's going on. But in most gyms where a personal trainer, you're doing controlled exercise with people that need controlled exercise, that need compensation work, that need really slow controlled movement because they sit on their butts all day, but you're putting in a high-risk, high-speed, high-intensity environment. Guess what's going to happen? Snap, crackle, and pop. And it does happen all the time. It happens all the time. Yeah, people get hurt doing everything, but this is much elevated, much higher. The stats, it's hard to find because a lot of people don't report them. I'm not talking about broken bones and like dislocated shoulders only. I'm also talking about the tendinitis, the issues from just the random display of activity. The random, just random. Constantly varied, random. No adaptation, random. God, I love ranting. Do you like the rods? Do you like the rage of the day? I'm actually keeping it contained. Periscope at night after dark gets intense. It gets intense. All right, so you're making friends. You're at CrossFit, driven by data. Data's good, right? Yes and no. I don't count reps or sets. I don't like it. Data can be beneficial if you're measuring like things that should be measured. If you're adding records and you're adding like a limit, you're adding a goal, you're giving yourself a target and you're adding time to the equation. A lot of this power training, Olympic lifting is very technical. There are professional D1 colleges that do not allow their freshmen, their newcoming like stars that they're getting from these high schools to do cleans, to do powerlifting. Why? Because the high risk. A lot of high school programs don't have proper weight training programs, so they avoid implementing that because they don't want their star blue chip player to get hurt. And these are the top schools in the country. They don't often allow powerlifting for the first year or two. There's a reason for that. What's the point of a snatch when you jump up and throw the weight over your head? What's the point? What's the point? Think about your goal. What are you trying to do? When do you ever do that? When do you ever do that? Part of what CrossFit states is, and pay attention closely, okay? Listen to this. The program prepares trainees for any physical contingency, not only for the unknown, but for the unknowable too. The program prepares trainees for any physical contingency, not only for the unknown, but for the unknowable too. The fuck does that mean? What's the difference between the unknown and the unknowable? You don't know it, but you can never know it. Their use of vernacular is very slick. It's marketing and it's shady, and I fucking hate it. I hate indirect, I hate vague, gray area, just kind of marketing, manipulative brain speak. I hate it. That's the problem with everything. That's the problem with the media. That's the problem with anything that's popular. That's a problem with, I wouldn't say it's a problem with marketing. That's what marketing is. It's about, molding. It's molding you. It's giving this idea. It's using big words. It's fancy. They're using exercise science terminology to warp your mind, the unknown and the unknowable. Tell me the difference, please. Someone tell me the difference. While CrossFit challenges the world's fittest, the program is designed for universal scalability, which means you can adjust it, which means you can adjust based on your skill level, which is like anything. So, okay, at least they're allowing people to go lighter and adjust, making it the perfect application for any committed individual, regardless of experience. Not true. That's just not true. You can understand that from just language. We scale load and intensity, meaning the weight, and or maybe the speed of the movement. We don't change the program. So they don't change the program. They don't individualize it. They don't customize it. It is group exercise. And I talked about group exercise not being detailed towards your goals, and that is a risk in itself. This last part is something that I'm going to open up. I want people to start asking questions if you have them. The needs of Olympic athletes and our grandparents differ by degree, not kind. The needs of Olympic athletes and our grandparents differ by degree, not kind. No. That's a no. That's absurd. The needs of Olympic athletes and our grandparents differ by degree. What, by the speed? Nana's going to be doing snatches now? No, it's Olympic lifting because it's for the freaking Olympics. It doesn't necessarily have a real world application. The snatch, what is the point of a snatch? When do you have to snap a heavy load over your head and drop down into a freaking squat at the same time? The clean, I understand what a clean is. That makes sense. You pick something up off the ground, you bring it to your shoulders. That is more of a functional movement. That's more of a strongman. That's more of like I'm lifting something off the ground. I'm not saying you can't have functional movement. I'm not saying you can't train for functional movement. What I'm saying is this idea that everyone is on the same level, that everyone is an Olympic athlete. That might be true if you're getting them from 2 years old and you're moving them through life in a certain way. You're getting people at 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I said this the same way with barefoot training. If you're doing barefoot training, you have to be careful because you wore shoes. You've morphed your feet for the first 30, 40, 50 years of your life. You have to be extremely careful. I said that. I think barefoot is natural. I think you should all be barefoot, but at the same time, you haven't been for your entire life. And that's dangerous. That's bad. That's bad because you have not developed that resistance. You have not developed that ability in your joints, in your proprioception to just all of a sudden do everything barefoot. You're going to get stress fractures. You're going to have pulled muscles. You're going to have injuries because you're not trained for it. You're not ready for it. Your body is not adapted to it. Did I just use the word adaptation? Oh my God. Yeah. I wouldn't want my grandparents doing Olympic lifts with a wooden dowel. It's so dangerous. Just the words they use. They make it you think that everyone could just do anything. We're not all starting from the same level, man. If you could individualize and do personal training, CrossFit stuff, then you might have a conversation. You could scale it to what they can do, what they should do, what their goals are. If you do personal training, I am not saying you can't do exercises and things similar to this when placed into a progressive program that has a function for a result. But if you want to build muscle, if you want to build bone density, if you want to, live healthier, we're not sinking on the Titanic. We're not climbing up a burning bridge. No one's driving out into the middle of the ocean having to swim to shore. Yes, I think people should know how to swim. But I mean, on the off chance that maybe all of a sudden a big tidal wave comes and you have to swim for 10 hours, we're all fucked anyway. I understand they want you to train for the unknown. Yeah, well, let me know when the zombie apocalypse is right around the corner and, I'll take out a shotgun. I'll be better prepared. There's not a lot of situations realistically. Yeah, there's the unknown, the unknowable. I mean, let's just put those in the same category, please. Can we just call that the same freaking word? If you don't know it, you don't know it. The unknown and the unknowable, like something you can never know. My brain just hurts. It just hurts my brain. It's like reading a chapter from fucking Dr. Seuss. It's like reading where the sidewalk ends, and you're like, well, where's the fucking training? Where's the program design? And they're like, I don't know. Here we go. Put on these knee wraps. Drink a Kill Cliff. It's Gatorade. It has carbonation. It's going to help you get stronger and faster, recover better. Yeah. All right. So let's go into the next section. Shall we? Shall we continue? Are we enjoying this? Should I stop? Is this too long? Is this too much rage? No, I don't think so. I think I got some more. Got a little bit more. Let's take this over a little bit further. Oh, yeah. Find a box. Let's find a box. You know what? I'm going to break this up into more parts. No, I want people to marinate in this for a little bit. But first off, before we get into the, before I get into the, leave or, take you through other sections. Here's what I want to find a box. So let's go to their main site, CrossFit, how to find a box. Got one. This is a box. It's a square container, and it holds things. You mean a garage? You mean a gym? You mean a gymnasium with gymnastic equipment where you do exercise and the fitness? Stop calling it a box. Stop with this cultish shit. Enough. Start training. Start planning your workouts. Start picking a goal. Again, I'm not saying you can't see results with CrossFit. If you are Yeah, YBF. If you are trying to lose weight, if you are trying to get in shape, if you're trying to change your life, you don't need either. I could rage on stuff in the gym. This is just particularly CrossFit. That's all this is. There's going to be more rods. I like that. Rage of the day. Workout of the day. Rage of the day. I feel like raging today. This is leftover from last night. I wasn't even that angry when we started at first, but then I kind of get ramped up. I get amped. Last night's Periscope was fun. Follow me on Periscope, Swolenormous. You get random rants. It's some fun shit. But I'll tell you what. In fitness, you have to, according to CrossFit, you have to have a constantly varied approach to training. You have to push yourself. So I think, and here's what I'm going to leave you with. I need to take a constantly varied approach to my podcasts. I need to take a constantly varied approach to my broadcast, to my daily Swole. Don't you think? In order to properly give you a quality podcast, I need to mix it up. I need to inhibit my breathing. I need to use tools and all this crazy equipment in order to deliver this information effectively. This is now a constantly varied podcast. I can barely breathe. It's hot as shit in this mask, but guess what? I'm constantly varying my material. This is now all of a sudden a more effective podcast, is it not? You can't read my lips, and I can't breathe, and my mustache is sweaty, and I look like a tool bag. People do this in the gym too. Why am I inhibiting my breathing? Why am I breathing through a fucking straw? Podcast of CrossFit. It says arbitrary, constantly varied approach. No, consistency pays off. Working hard at your craft pays off. Working hard towards a goal and progressively improving on your program and your design towards an end result with anything. You want to get better at something, you practice it. But getting better at CrossFit just means trying to get better at everything, throwing shit at a wall and see what sticks. And eventually something's going to break. Eventually something's going to tear. Eventually. And most people want a body. Most people want a body that CrossFit will not deliver. Will you build a little muscle? Okay. You're going to be in pain all the fucking time. You're trashing your cellular reproduction capacity. You're trashing your DNA with the lack of recovery from CrossFit. I don't have time to go into the WODs. I don't have time to go into the frequently asked questions. There's more ridiculous stuff. The most important thing that bothers me about CrossFit is the marketing, because it's very good. Companies are getting on board. Reebok and all those companies got on board because they saw dollar signs. People like the camaraderie. They like the teamwork. People like to work hard. This whole idea, it's the perfect storm. You have, the Gladiator movies got popular with like the original movie, Braveheart, and then it was like Gladiator, and then it was 300, and people started loving this, like, warrior, Spartan races and mud runs got popular. So it just kind of went right in line with that. This savage, like, hey, let's go back to nature, barefoot running, like all this stuff got popular at the same time. It's a trend. Some of these things are worthwhile trends, but so many more of them are succumbing to marketing and to over promotion of certain aspects that lead us away from the healthier aspects of fitness. Thank you so much for joining this extended rage of the day. I'll take some questions afterwards on Periscope. I'll stay behind for a couple minutes. Thank you for joining me. And again, okay, on my website, Swolenormous.com, those Kegel shirts, I am offering with a 15-minute fitness consultation, Swolenormous.com. You can catch this podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud, pretty much same day. Videos on YouTube, Driving While Gaining, the Swole Motion, Facebook, Instagram, every media, Swolenormous across all platforms. Thank you for joining. And again, you need to find what's right for you. I just feel like raging on some of these little things. Understand where I'm coming from, and I understand where you're coming from and why this is popular. Okay, there's always good with the bad. No matter what you do, there's always good with the bad. Okay, I might have good information, but then you got to stare at my face and you might not like my hair. No, my manly beard. You might not like that. So there's good. You got to take the good with the bad. Okay. Let me know what you thought about the rage. I kind of held it back a little bit too, just because I didn't want to blow out the microphone. But give me some information. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you like to hear on the Daily Swole. I'll do a little Q&A afterwards. You can contact me on Snapchat. You can message me on Instagram. You can contact me on my website, Swolenormous.com. Thank you for joining me for episode 23 of the Daily Mother Swole. I will see you tomorrow for a special holiday edition, a special Memorial Day edition of the Daily Swole. And just before I sign off, I do want to thank our military for serving. Thank you for protecting everyone in this country's ability to do whatever we want. Thank you for serving, risking your life, your family, your friends, and thank you for doing things that most people would think unconscionable without question or hesitation. So I appreciate law enforcement, military, anyone who serves, public servants. I think that really branches out over for all military. And that's another thing I do want to say. That's another thing that I like about CrossFit is their respect for the military and their promotion and their, all their advertising and their, their WODs and whatnot for people and, honoring people that have passed and that have, sacrificed their life for the service of this country. So thanks again. Thank you. Happy weekend. Be safe. Don't drink too much whiskey or PBR. I can't speak for myself, but So thanks again for joining this edition of the Daily Swole. Peace out. Have a great weekend.